Hello everyone, watch this review here with my news and updates for the month of November. Now, I suppose there are quite a few things to say and some things to catch up on. I think my biggest announcement for this month is, you guys probably realize this, but I'm not really uploading at the same quantity that I used to, and in some cases not even the same quality. In general, I will probably be sort of scaling back going into the future. Meaning a lot fewer reviews a month, probably more towards product highlights, like if I see something cool, I'll toss up a video about it, but in general, I just don't feel the same amount of energy when it comes to reviewing, and I think it's shown in some of my more recent efforts. Now, as a general thing, I went through the annual power loss this year. I think I was out for 4 days starting October 29th or 30th, whatever the Monday was, and then I got it back I think Thursday, so doesn't really matter. But I came back to a strange new world where Disney had purchased yet another company. Apparently they had LucasArts at that point. Then there were rumors going around that they might buy Hasbro as well, which makes sense in some contexts, but at the same time, kind of doesn't. Because I guess they had some things that kind of competed. Hasbro and Disney had some issues where some of the properties weren't compatible. But at the same time, where Disney's bought Marvel, and then Disney's bought Lucas. Two of the things are just toy lines that Hasbro produces. So from that context, I was sort of seeing something there, but yeah, I think it's more or less been debunked at this point. The spokespeople have come out and said that we currently have no idea what any of these rumors are about, and just pointed out the sort of incongruity or whatever of it. Of course, they might just be saying that, but after a huge purchase like LucasArts, probably not going to go ahead with it, which made the news all the more surprising in the first place. On other sort of news, Kotobukiya's Mega Man plastic model kit line, that's also come to an end now. At some levels, you probably suspected this might be coming. Bandai's DArts line's been branching out into the classic stuff. They've already done a Mega Man, they've announced a Bass, along with Treble. I always sort of get their American and Japanese names mixed up. It's Forte and Gospel over there, maybe. I can't remember what the other one is. But as much as I want Treble, I'm not a Bass fan, so is it pronounced Bass or is it pronounced Bass? Whenever you see something written, it sort of gets it confusing, so you don't hear it spoken so much. It could go either way. I think the music thing is pronounced bass, but the fish is pronounced bass. It doesn't matter. At any rate, they did 4 kits for this. The 3 pictured here, then a Mega Man 0, Series 0, which I might end up picking up just because I don't know if Bandai will ever get around to doing a 0 Series 0. And there's a pretty significant difference between that and the normal 0. Castle Grayskull, a lot of people are sort of following this. At this point, I don't think I'll be buying one. It's a huge amount of money, it takes up a lot of space. Huge amount of money compared to a lot of other stuff. It's $250, I think it's like 20 or 30 for shipping and handling. They've now added in a poster, although that's really not much of an incentive. And of course, I'm sure most people have seen the Marvel Select Lizard, but that's not the big news. The bigger news is U2's up for pre-order. That's not it either. Maybe I don't have it here. No, first of all, New York Comic Con, I'm glad I didn't go to that because it's a total bust. They did have a small Hasbro event before the show, but not much was being shown off. And then, in terms of announcements, really not a whole lot went on there. Tamashii Nations, or Bandai Japan, sort of held their event around that same time, or I think it was like a week or two after. And there they announced a whole bunch of additional things. First off, we knew about the Mewtwo, but Besides Mewtwo, they also announced a Charizard, and then images popped up of a Venusaur and Blastoise. I don't have those on hand, but if you want to see them, you probably can. They aren't very hard to find. I expect many people have probably uploaded them. Charizard was sort of the natural second person that they'd do for the line, or second Pokemon as it were. I'm not that impressed by the look of it. I mean, the neck looks kind of funky than the way that the jaw is, but supposedly the jaw can sort of be pushed in because it's probably on a sort of ball joint, so it might not look that awkward, but I thought I'd like this one a lot more than I did, but it's just kind of bland, and I really hate the fact that he's got the transparent fire or translucent fire on the edge of his tail. I'd much rather see just a solid flame. And then it doesn't seem like his tail actually has as many joints to it as Mewtwo's does, which is also kind of strange. Actually, you can't really appreciate it, but Mewtwo seems to have a whole lot more going on there. Mewtwo, of course, I already pre-ordered. He's available for pre-order now. I guess some places are probably closed, but yeah, you should still be able to find him. And if need be, you can even just go through, like, I think he should be a list on Amazon at some point, but the Bad Toy Store has him as well. Obviously, both those options are cheaper than just importing from Japan, but if need be, not much you can do about it. The other sort of cool news is the Chogekin line. I believe it's in the Chogekin line. We'll be doing some Fate Stay characters, or actually Fate Zero characters. Gilgamesh, who technically is in both Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night, is getting a figure through that. Well, I mean, technically he's Archer in Fate Zero, and yeah, it's sort of academic. I just don't get him confused with Archer from Fate Stay Night, because there is another character as well. Very cool looking dude. Let's see if I can pull up an image real quick. Probably can't. The other sort of cool thing is they announced that they would be doing a Sailor Moon line. Now, as strange as it sounds, I was kind of into Sailor Moon back in the day, so I probably will be picking up some of the figures. Yeah, I mean, don't laugh. A lot of guys kind of were into it. And just go figure. Damn it, why can't I pull it up? The other sort of really annoying thing in general has just been like Figma has had a Archer figure sort of ew. For the Fate Stay Night series they've had on hiatus for like 10 or 12 years. No, not, sorry, a year or two now. So, here he is. I'm not sure if I like the look of this, but he's definitely one of the cooler characters from the, actually both versions, I believe. He's got this really cool sort of special attack where he just summons a ton of weapons. Very awesome character. I can't remember what the pre-order is. They are also doing a Saber, which looks really decent. Obviously, there's also a Figma Saber, which I also like. I probably won't be buying this one just for that reason, but the paint decos in this are a lot cleaner. It comes with a cool display base, which has this little action pose. Supposedly a lot of people also like the fact that the skirts have more depth to them or whatever. I can kind of see it, and of course the facial detail's a lot stronger, but I think it's close to $80 or something like. It's some insane number compared to like the Figma, which was originally available for, I think it was like 25. You know, this is without adjusting the, it's yen or something. I'm trying to remember if this is 25 after conversion or 2,500 yen. Yeah. At any rate, I guess the sort of general bullet point is that there was a lot more, I guess, cool, exciting news coming out of that event than at NYCC, so yeah, it kind of sucks. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the new Battle Beast figures yet, the Diamond Select ones, not the Beast Saga ones. they actually have some pretty... Well, I mean, right now it's just the Toys R Us redecos, which I'm not sure everybody's aware of. We saw the general selection previously, but... why isn't it loading? There it goes. Also, there are these really cool concept arts. I'm really hoping that they make these figures. The Zulu Cheetah, and the Hoplite Albatross, which of course aren't their actual names. But the redecos, I guess, are basically the same figures as before, but they have a silver deco. So, well, of course the redecos can be the same figures before, but originally Gruntos, I believe his name was, had a sort of grayish tone for all the silver parts. I don't know if I like this silver. It doesn't work so much for him, but some of the other characters it kind of makes it pop a bit more, and for some reason he doesn't have the loincloth displayed. I'm not sure if they're just not including it with him. But the first version had one. It's not a huge issue by any stretch of the imagination. It's just sort of a weird detail that they suddenly miss. And here's the new Vorin. It looks a lot cooler than the one that we'll be going to, I think, the comic stores, which has this sort of yellowish deco. I mean, that looks like real armor and stuff. That's really cool. Of course, Beast Saga's had a ton more stuff as well, but I'm not terribly enthusiastic about that one just because it's at a much higher price point, and a lot of the odd body armors are really blocky. If that makes any sense. I was a huge fan of the original Beast. Did I call these Beast Wars earlier? These are Battle Beasts. Gotta go back in there and edit that. But yeah, Battle Beasts line. But I just don't feel that either company is even really capturing so much the spirit of it anymore. I mean, Diamond Select Toys basically went off, did their own thing here, whereas the Beast Saga, it's kind of within the same general theme and stuff, and Beast Saga was what the line was called over in Japan when Takara was making it, but the quality of the figures just doesn't seem to be there, and I don't know, even the naming conventions are kind of lacking. Like, you'd have sort of cool, sort of alliterative names for each of the characters, and, you know, I guess now it's just a duck or a bat or what have you. And here is the Diamond Select Bat. I forget what its name is. It was some really weird thing to pronounce. I actually was talking to the guy. I didn't know that the guy was behind the names when I was complaining about them. I was just whining about how hard to pronounce and how weird half the names are. And you know, sometime later while I'm just on an email chain with a guy, you know, he comments the fact that he's actually doing the names now, and whoops, yeah, it kind of stepped in it, but you know, some of these things do kind of need to be said because these names are kind of goofy. I guess they are going for what they consider a more realistic approach to naming, just because of the whole comic book angle, but I don't know how many people are actually going to follow the comic at this point. The figures themselves are really awesome, though, obviously. At any rate, I kind of got really sidetracked just discussing the various other stuff, just like in terms of announcements and cons and all that. I mean, there's definitely a lot of sort of exciting stuff around the horizon. Again, at one point, it just didn't feel like we were seeing that much news, but it sort of comes in like batches. Like, for a while, it seems like nothing really earth-shattering is being announced, and then all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of stuff, and it's kind of hard to sort of keep up with. Kind of interesting as well, too. Going forward, I'm not even sure what figure lines I'll be collecting. I definitely am going to make a concerted effort to sort of trim down what I'm buying, just because I figure I don't want to ever get rid of anything, but at the same time, I am continually worried about just Loop running out of display space, so I want to cut down to at least, I don't know, a lot fewer than what I had been buying in the past. And I think over the past few months I've kind of come close to accomplishing that. I mean, I still do pick up stuff, and I haven't just been reviewing as much. I still have some things I started reviewing but I never finished, other things that I just have in box. Yeah, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that I will probably get around to uploading at some point. I'm just not sure when. I am, of course, also doing written reviews for Tomopop involving photography, not terribly often just because it's a painstaking sort of process, given that you have to do a photo, you have to photograph everything, then you've got to go through, sort of edit your photographs, then you've got to water stamp them or watermark them. Then there's the written part, ends up taking like several hours most of the time, as opposed to a video review, which you can knock out. And I know generally it takes me a bit longer than the actual runtime for a video. I mean, at one point I think it was a 5-minute video would take me 20 minutes to 30, just because I go back and I sort of fix things, but I do that a lot less now, so it's getting closer and closer to the actual runtime of the video being the total amount of time I spend on things. But I expect to definitely see some reviews in the future. I did pick up the She-Hulk today. I already shot that. It's not a great looking review by any stretch of the imagination, but I will definitely be uploading that within the next week or two. I still want to do that Monster Arts Godzilla. I've already reviewed it for the site and stuff. I just haven't finished a video on. And of course I have this Chogokin Megazord, which I've been sort of messing around with for about a month. I mean, if I uploaded a review back when I first got him, I think it probably would have been one of the earlier ones for the sort of cycle, but yeah, I just didn't get around to it. It's a very cool figure that comes with a lot of accessories, and while it is a bit pricier, you can sort of justify the cost for what it comes with, and well, because it's a Megazord. And if you're a fan of this series and stuff, it's kind of one of those things where you do have a lot of fond memories for. But I mean, it's sort of just prioritizing your nostalgia at this point, because there are a lot of high-priced nostalgic items, like the Castle Grayskull that's coming out, which again, is the absurd amount of money. But it's still tempting. It's still unbelievably tempting. I don't know, I guess I'll just wait to see if the actual pre-order goes through, because they have a cutoff period. I mean, I suppose if I put my stuff in before the cutoff period, or the initial cutoff period, it'd probably help the pre-order as well, but I mean, at this point I'm just still really on the fence about it, just because we can't see what it is up front. I mean, we're waiting until it's actually sort of been commissioned and stuff, until they've got their sort of target. They're something, I think the last time I checked, they're at 71%, so there's some chance they might hit the target. Unlike the other one, the Young Justice pre-order, where we got boned on it twice. First, when they didn't put those figures directly into the line like they should have, instead of adding a Batman and other characters. And the second time when the pre-order sort of flopped because it was an sort of outrageous amount of money for what you were getting. But yeah, this is basically everything I have to say on these subjects that I've sort of gone through. Basically expect something, just not as much as I used to. And that's about it. Until next time when I actually have content, and I thank you if you actually made it to the end of this, because I rambled like hell. Oh, I did also pick up the Thundercracker, the Masterpiece Thundercracker. I think it's still in at ToysRUs.com for people who haven't picked it up, and I think the Optimus is as well. And they actually have a promotion on the website where I think it's if you buy $100 or $120 worth of stuff, you get a 20% discount, which obviously worse than the Optimus because he's 120. I think they have the Thundercracker at 75. Unfortunately, I bought the Thundercracker before this promotion, because I would have just picked that up, and I would have picked up the Mogwai and stuff like that, and then, save myself a little money, but no such luck. I guess I could probably just go back and return it or whatever, the first one I bought, but it's a bit of a hassle. But yeah, expect to see that as well at some point. That probably will be a bit later, just because I still haven't even reviewed the Generations Thundercracker that I picked up a year or two ago. That was the review that my PS3 died on. It's just too awesome for the machine, apparently. I actually salvaged, that's the last opening footage that they have for anything. Then onward, I think that's when it was then from then it was on the PS3 Slim for a brief period of time when it was doing all this fluky sort of time jumps. Then I moved on to using cameras. First, I think it was the Kodak Easy Share, then my Sony DSC. I can't remember what the make of this camera is. But yeah, I'm rambling even more. Oh, did anybody pick up anything during the Four Horsemen sale? I guess Store Horseman was listing a whole bunch of stuff half off. I grabbed a few of one of the Seventh Kingdom items, and then some of the new Scarabus repaints. I picked up one of the basic variants, and then one of the ram-headed ones. I can't remember what the name is. It was a really decent deal. But, yeah, it's over at this point. But I also expect to see that reviewed at some point.